They just dragged Wolfgang Van Halen into a rumor. But Jack Osbourne stepped in and shut it down instantly. The internet has a way of turning the smallest spark into a full-blown wildfire. And that is exactly what happened when a rumor began circulating about Wolfgang Van Halen. It didn't take long for fans to pick sides, speculate wildly, and start connecting dots that may or may not have even existed in the first place. In the middle of all this noise, one voice stepped forward with clarity and calm: Jack Osbourne. Known for being direct but thoughtful, he didn't just brush the rumor aside. He addressed it in a way that cut through the confusion and brought things back to reality. The rumor itself had all the ingredients of a viral story. It involved a legendary legacy, a new generation of talent, and just enough mystery to keep people guessing. Wolfgang Van Halen, who has spent years building his own identity, separate from his father's towering influence, suddenly found himself at the center of speculation that didn't reflect who he is or what he stands for. Fans who admire his work with Mammoth WVH know how much effort he has put into carving out his own path, focusing on authenticity and musical integrity rather than living in the shadow of expectations. Jack Osbourne, having grown up in a world where rumors and headlines were part of daily life, understands better than most how quickly misinformation can spread. Instead of ignoring the situation, he chose to speak up. What made his response stand out was not just what he said, but how he said it. There was no aggression, no attempt to stir up more drama. It was measured, clear, and grounded in truth. He made it evident that the rumor had no real basis and that people were jumping to conclusions without understanding the full picture. What often gets lost in moments like this is the human side of the story. Behind every headline is a real person dealing with real consequences. Wolfgang has always been open about the pressure of carrying a famous name while trying to establish his own voice. Situations like this only add to that pressure, creating distractions that pull attention away from the music itself. Jack's decision to step in can be seen as more than just setting the record straight. It was a way of protecting that human element from being overshadowed by speculation. As the conversation continued to unfold online, it became clear how divided audiences can become when faced with incomplete information. Some people were quick to believe the rumor, while others defended Wolfgang without hesitation. This split reaction highlights a broader issue in today's digital culture. People often react first and verify later, if at all. In that environment, a simple statement can be twisted, exaggerated, or completely taken out of context within hours. Jack Osbourne's response acted as a reset button. By addressing the rumor directly, he gave fans a chance to pause and reconsider what they were hearing. It also reminded people that not everything circulating online deserves to be treated as fact. In a way, his words carried more weight because they came from someone who has lived through similar situations and understands the long-term impact of false narratives. There is also something to be said about respect within the music community. Wolfgang Van Halen is not just another artist trying to make it. He represents a bridge between generations. He honors the past while pushing forward into something new. When rumors begin to question or distort that journey, it doesn't just affect him. It affects how audiences perceive the evolution of music itself. Jack's intervention helped preserve that respect, ensuring that the focus remained on what truly matters. At the same time, this moment revealed just how invested fans are in the lives of the artists they follow. That level of engagement can be a powerful thing, but it can also become overwhelming when it crosses into speculation. The line between curiosity and assumption is often thinner than people realize. Jack's calm and straightforward approach showed that it is possible to engage with these situations without adding fuel to the fire. As the dust began to settle, the conversation shifted. Instead of focusing on the rumor, people started talking about the importance of verifying information and respecting artists as individuals. Wolfgang's work, his dedication, and his identity as a musician slowly returned to the center of attention. And in many ways, that is the most meaningful outcome of all. The story serves as a reminder that not every headline tells the full truth. Sometimes, it takes someone willing to speak up and challenge the narrative to bring things back into balance. Jack Osbourne did exactly that, not by creating more noise, but by cutting through it. As the situation continued to unfold, something interesting began to happen. The energy that once fueled the rumor started to fade, replaced by a more thoughtful conversation about how quickly things can spiral out of control online. Jack Osbourne's words didn't just stop the rumor, they changed the direction of the discussion. People who had initially reacted with certainty began to question where the information had come from in the first place. Wolfgang Van Halen, meanwhile, remained focused on what he has always prioritized: his music. That in itself speaks volumes. Instead of engaging directly with every piece of speculation, he allowed his work and his character to speak for him. This kind of response requires a level of discipline that not every artist can maintain, especially in an era where social media often encourages immediate reactions. By staying grounded, he reinforced the idea that not every rumor deserves a response, especially when others are willing to step in and clarify the truth. Jack's role in this moment highlights an important dynamic within the music world. There is a sense of community that goes beyond competition or individual success. Artists, especially those who have grown up in the industry, often understand the importance of supporting one another when things get complicated. His decision to address the rumor wasn't just about correcting misinformation, it was about standing up for fairness and respect. This situation also sheds light on how narratives are created and sustained. A rumor doesn't need to be true to gain traction. It only needs to be interesting enough to capture attention. Once that happens, it can take on a life of its own, shaped by interpretations, assumptions, and repeated retellings. Breaking that cycle requires more than just denial. It requires clarity, credibility, and timing. Jack Osbourne brought all three to the table. There is a lesson here for audiences as well. The way people consume information has a direct impact on how stories evolve. When viewers choose to question what they see, to look for reliable sources, and to avoid spreading unverified claims, they become part of the solution rather than the problem. Moments like this offer an opportunity to rethink how we engage with the content that fills our screens every day. For Wolfgang, the aftermath of the rumor may ultimately strengthen his connection with fans who appreciate authenticity. Those who followed the situation closely saw how quickly things can be misrepresented and how important it is to look beyond the surface. In a way, it reaffirmed his position as an artist who values substance over spectacle. His journey continues, shaped not by rumors, but by the music he creates and the message he carries forward. Jack Osbourne's involvement will likely be remembered as a turning point in this story. Not because it was dramatic or controversial, but because it was effective. In a landscape where loud voices often dominate, His calm and reasoned approach stood out. It proved that sometimes the most powerful response is the one that brings clarity rather than chaos. As time moves on, this moment will blend into the larger narrative of how artists navigate the challenges of modern media. It will serve as an example of how quickly things can escalate, but also how they can be resolved when someone steps in, with honesty and perspective. The rumor may have started as a spark, but it didn't end as a wildfire. Instead, it became a lesson in communication, responsibility, and respect.